Sick, you go to hospital and expect they'll make you better. But one major hospital is under the microscope after 3 preventable deaths in just over a year. Tonight, heartbroken families speak out, demanding a broken health system be fixed.
No one expects that you will go into hospital and starve to death.
People are dying and nobody is being really held accountable.
Because I don't know where I am in life. My life's virtually over.
Jason Warwick is dying from lung cancer that was missed on an X-ray.
That was the last thing on my mind that I was going to have was cancer.
Anne Jeffrey's son died from starvation and dehydration during a 33-day admission at the same hospital.
How can someone starve to death in a hospital?
2 more hospital patients have died in shocking circumstances in the past 2 months.
I feel that there should be accountability, and there's no accountability at all.
Queensland's embattled health system is already making headlines for failing patients. Some are dying waiting for an ambulance or a bed. But few hospitals have a record quite like Robina Hospital on the Gold Coast when it comes to preventable deaths.
He was not dying when I took him to hospital. He was not critical.
Stuart Kelly had autism and an intellectual disability, but that didn't stop him from living an active life. This room at Gold Coast Recreation and Sports Centre is dedicated to his achievements and favourite possessions.
Stuart had a fantastic life, wonderful life. He was involved in so many things, sport, activities.
Shelley Jeffrey was his sister-in-law. His 81-year-old mother, Anne Jeffrey, spent all of Stuart's 45 years making sure her youngest son was able to enjoy life.
Most people feel that he was one of the happiest people they've ever met.
Last year, Stuart developed anxiety which affected his eating. Anne took him to Robina Hospital where he was admitted on May 22, having lost 14 kilograms. He was reluctant to eat, but made some improvement on anxiety medication. Stuart was discharged on May 30 with instructions to wean off the drugs in 3 days. By July 20, he had deteriorated, losing a total of 28 kilograms and refusing to eat, so was returned to Robina Hospital.
The emergency doctor was very understanding. He did sedate him, he did put him on fluids, and he recommended that he be admitted to a private room with no stimulus and be treated by the mental health team.
This picture shows Stuart on admission with his teddy bear for comfort. He was refusing medical help and needed mental health treatment more than anything. 7 days into his stay and losing more weight, he was moved from a single room to a multi-bedroom against the emergency doctor's recommendation.
He just withdrew completely. He finally became incontinent. We found him several times lying in a wet bed.
What mental health services were offered to him?
None. A psychiatrist spoke to me, but they did not interview him.
And what do you think about that now?
I'm appalled.
Anne says her attempt to invoke a Ryan's Rule clinical review of his care failed, with a medical intern sent to hear her concerns. Stuart Kelly's patient notes reveal that on July 29 he was assessed as fit for discharge, despite a lack of vital signs observations being recorded. 3 days later, a blood test revealed critically high levels of sodium caused by acute dehydration. A day later, he was rushed to the intensive care unit, suffering multi-organ failure.
He didn't regain consciousness for quite a few days. And when he did, he could only move fingers of one hand.
These confronting pictures capture just how much Stuart Kelly wasted away inside Robina Hospital. When a feeding tube finally came, it was all too late. After 21 days in intensive care, he died.
I feel that he was cheated of 40 years more of his life. I felt that the joy had gone out of my life. I felt that he had been led to die, possibly because of his disability.
On his death certificate, autism was listed as a cause, along with multi-organ dysfunction, starvation, and dehydration.
We fully expected, okay, he'll be in hospital, he'll get the treatment that he needs, he'll be fed, he'll be rehydrated, and he will get the psychological help that he needs. No one expects that you will go into hospital and starve to death.
Sadly, this wasn't the only preventable death at Robina Hospital. 2 more shocking deaths involving elderly patients have occurred in the past 2 months, with Queensland Police preparing reports for the coroner. In October, 68-year-old former policeman Kevin Farr was attacked and killed by a fellow patient inside the dementia ward. A month later, an 86-year-old aged care patient who was suffering delirium died in a regular ward after jumping off a balcony. At admission, he was not considered a suicide risk.
Like, what's happened is understaffed, is people not doing their jobs properly. Someone's got to be accountable for what's going on.
Father of 8, Jason Warwick, is waiting to die. He visited Robina Hospital in September last year, feeling unwell with a bad cough.
Well, they found a mass on my left lung, and they thought it was just infection, and they sent me home with antibiotics.
He returned to the hospital in July, with doctors making a terrible discovery.
The 2 doctors came into me and said to me, mate, look, when you were here before, it looks like they've overlooked that mass that they found on your left lung that they thought was an infection. Well, it's cancer.
A Gold Coast health spokesperson said in a statement that cancer was not missed, rather it was obscured by a serious chest infection, also claiming he was told on discharge to follow up with his GP in 6 weeks for a repeat chest x-ray. Jason claims that didn't happen. The 51-year-old doesn't know if he has weeks or months to live. His biggest worry, leaving behind 8 children and 12 grandchildren.
The big sufferer out of this is them. They're the ones that don't get a dad and get to grow up without a dad. And I've got a little 8-year-old that just doesn't understand why.
Regarding Stuart Kelly's death, the spokesperson acknowledged there were significant failures in the care provided and his death was preventable.
Open disclosure discussions have been held with his family, and we've offered an unreserved apology for his death.
I want to know what's been implemented now, 15 months later, after I buried my son. What have they done in actual real terms?
Anne believes a coroner's inquest is needed to uncover the full extent of hospital failings, but no decision has been made on whether one will be held.
I'm now 81. I would like some answers before I die. I need to know that something comes of Stuart's death, that it won't happen to somebody again.
And it's not too much to ask. It is heartbreaking in the extreme. That story has touched on some difficult issues. If you or someone close to you needs help, there is support available. Contact Lifeline on 13 11 14. That's 13 11